Hello, viewers, and wishing you a very happy Sunday as you join us here on the iRacing UK Twitch and YouTube channels for round 6 of the Porsche Cup League. And it's the penultimate race here in the season that has seen a lot of incredible action and fantastic work from our line of drivers. We're here tonight at Long Beach. Now, one thing you're going to be asking yourself, who are iRacing UK, I hear you ask? Well, we're a UK-based Discord community of like-minded racers who want to get together for practice sessions, leagues such as this one, and most importantly, share our experiences and our passion for sim racing. If you want to get involved, please head over to the facebook.com/iRacing UK and send us a message. We will be happy to welcome you into the community. And who knows, maybe we'll see you here on the broadcast next time round. Now, once again, we do have a less than 30 car lineup tonight, which means we will be bringing you a slightly different format to how we started out our season. We'll run you through that now, just in case you haven't been with us to see those changes that we've made. And if you haven't been with us, where on earth have you been all these weeks for the Porsche Cup, which has been just brilliant to watch. So the race tonight, you'll be starting off at 8 p.m. for a practice session. The drivers here tonight have already had 15 minutes on the track here at Long Beach, and then now at 8:15 they're entering a lone qualifying session. So that's 3 hot laps that they get, or 8 minutes. At 8:25 we'll see the sprint race number 1. So that's 12 laps that will be completed in hopefully in around about 18 minutes by these drivers, and then following on from that they'll have the main feature race at 30 minutes in length. We expect that will come out at somewhere around 22 laps. As always, we'll be taking all of your questions throughout the broadcast, so feel free to drop us a message. We'd love to hear from you over on the Twitch chat, so let us know who you're going to be cheering on this evening and who you think is going to be victorious. So you're here with me, Nick Allen, this evening, and normally you'd expect to hear me introduce the fantastic Mr. Chris Rowlands at this point in the broadcast, but unfortunately Chris isn't with us, so a special guest that you haven't heard here on the Porsche Cup before, Mr. Friday Fun himself. Here he is. It's Trevor Davis. Trev, welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to the Sunday night league races. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Looking forward to be here. Normally I'd be racing on the other Sundays on the GT3 League, which was quite eventful at this track last week. So yeah, I think we should definitely be looking at good race here tonight in the Porsches.
Well, that's exactly why we've got you here, Trev. A Long Beach expert, hopefully in the making. I heard you'd put in a lot of time last week into making sure you were race ready and fit for the challenge of Long Beach, which obviously a bit like Belle Isle a few weeks ago. This is a lot of concrete walls on either side, not a lot of room for these guys to navigate through. Where do you think we're possibly going to see some of the challenges for the drivers here this evening, Trev?
So turn 1 is very tricky. With the pit lane exit, it's very tight. The cars coming out the pits, they're going to want to turn in as soon as possible. They've got to leave it as late as possible because you will get that pit lane black flag otherwise, and they're going to have to serve a penalty. The cars are going to be coming up hot and fast up that main straight into that corner. Very much an incident zone there. I reckon we'll see something there. Going through the fountain is very tricky. That left-hand wall as you exit the fountain can very much catch you out. The next couple of corners will tend to be fine. Mid-track, there's a couple of corners that can, sometimes if you get 2-3 cars alongside, it can get a bit hectic. And as we're seeing here now, Mr. Busby on the last corner, that hairpin can be a right killer.
Absolutely, yeah, Mr. Busby. So you mentioned Paul here on the track this evening. He's currently in P2 in car number 420 there. Actually, Paul just putting it up into the lead, I believe, on that lap. Not somebody that we've actually seen here in the Porsche Cup League before. Now, Paul's been in a lot of the GT3 League races before, one of the admins for the IR UK group. So interesting that we've got Paul here tonight, putting in a performance, hopefully a bit of a show for us and helping us make a couple of the numbers to obviously fill up the league and give us some great racing this evening. Now, speaking of great racing, there's a number of names that you're going to see on the leaderboard this evening that you'll be familiar with from previous rounds. So if we look at the last round's results, Gavin Halls was our race winner, followed by Mark Baxter Jones, Chris Wally, Dan Bathy, Kane T. Crawford, Oliver Carwadine Michael Hornby, Rob Exelby, Mark Johnson and Stephen Kershaw were the top 10. So expect a strong performance here from Baxter Jones. He's one that we consistently see at the top of the order, fighting for positions with the likes of Chris Wally there and Dan Bathy. And you can see that Chris there already has put in a really great time actually so far with a 1:19.73 as his quickest lap so far in qualifying. So we're going to be watching these drivers go around now for the next 3 minutes or so, or about 2 minutes now they've got left to set a qualifying lap. Position's going to be really important here tonight, Trev, isn't it? Because I'm guessing there's not going to be a great deal of overtaking opportunities unless we see a mistake happening, or even maybe a bit of a roadblock into one of the corners.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's one of these tracks that if you are the blue flag, you are very much going to be in the way of people. It is a very hard track to overtake unless the car in front of you is on purposely going to slow down, or if they get some sort of slowdown.
So just to bring attention to the current standings in the league at the moment. So we've got Dan Bathy currently leading with Gavin Halls in P2. Now Mark Baxter Jones in third place. We did mention Mark a minute ago. Hopefully Mark's going to be trying to get himself some more points this evening. So we're going to just go through the order of the evening again, just to remind everybody about the format. So at 8 p.m. we had obviously an open practice session for the drivers, followed by this 15-minute qualifying session starting at 8:15, which is an 8-minute session, followed with is either 8 minutes or 3 hot laps for the drivers. At 8:25 we'll have sprint race number 1 starting with 12 laps which need to be completed within 18 minutes, and then following on from that, 8:45 is the feature race. That's going to be 30 minutes, and we expect the drivers to complete around 22 laps of the circuit here at Long Beach this evening as we currently watch on board with Baxter Jones. We're just having a little look at Baxter Jones's lap. He's currently running in P9, not where we used to see him, Baxter Jones. So hopefully in this last portion of the session we're going to be able to see him get in another hot lap here. So let's see what kind of time he's going to be able to do, and that's a P2 appearance now for Baxter Jones. So he's just managed to slip it in behind Paul Busby at the last minute in this qualifying session with only 30 seconds left to go. Who else is going to be able to challenge Baxter Jones, do we think here? I think Chris Wally's still going to be looking, but it looks like he's actually done all his laps now, Chris Wally, and he's not going to be going back out. So Baxter Jones might well have just set himself the time that he really needed to stay in position. Matt Cox at the minute looking to try and see if he can bring in a nice time to put himself in a comfortable position on the starting grid, albeit only in the 120s at the moment, and it looks like he's just run out of time there, unfortunately, for Matt Cox, so not able to put in the lap he was hoping for. Right.
Well done.
Here is your grid order for the evening. So the first race here at Long Beach, we're going to be starting off with Paul Busby in the lead there. Fantastic time from Paul with that 1:19.3 he managed to pull off there. And then Mark Baxter Jones behind him, followed by Chris Wally on the second row with Michael Hornby. Hornby, one that we've seen have a bit of a tumultuous time at points, not necessarily making it to the end in the position that he'd like to. And then El Neal, Rob Exelby, Matt Cox, Denny Wood, Oliver Carwadine and Stephen Kershaw for your top 10. Following them, we've got Mark Johnson, Johnny Elia, and then the rest of the pack is Vance Briggs, Nathan Willoughby, Rob Armstrong, Stuart Brown, Nick Alexander, Michael Rowe, David Noonan, Craig Schill, Anthony Franklin, Colin Wynn and James Armstrong in 23rd. That's a surprise for James Armstrong, Trev, because we normally see James right at the top of the order. He's normally the kind of person that we see incredibly strong in a lot of these races. So I'm sure what we'll see from James is a classic charge up the order, and he'll make his way into a really strong position. But one thing that we have seen a few times is after those performances charge you through the order, there tends to be a few mistakes later on. So we'll keep an eye on James and we'll see what he has to bring to the table this evening. Now we're just waiting for all of our drivers to get gridded up now, Trev. Hopefully we'll see a relatively clean start, as here are the lights ready to go now. We're going to have all these 5 lights going out, waiting for these guys to get off the line, and away they go. It's time to get started in this now. It's round 6 of the Porsche Cup, and there's a great start there from P4. I believe Paul Busby's dropped all the way back down the order. Baxter Jones has made his way up to P1, and Michael Hornby into P2. A fantastic start from Hornby has put him in a real strong position here, but it's not over yet, as you say, Trevor. They're going into turn 1, very tight, trying to go too wide into there, leaving each other plenty of space. And Busby, I heard a bit bit of metal on metal there in the background. It looks like we've got Nathan Willoughby possibly dropping down the order, and a few others like Dave Noonan also. So we might have had a roadblock round there in the start of the course. As we look now at Michael Hornby chasing hard behind Baxter Jones, will Hornby be able to bring the challenge here? Oh, we've got a bit of a blink there possibly from Hornby, and Paul Busby now manages to make his way back up to third position after dropping down to fourth off the start. We're going to go to a replay here. Trev, let's see who it was that got involved in that incident earlier on.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those.
As Rob Armstrong gets pinched.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
That's classic turn 1 parking lot.
Oh dear. And then we've got a bit of bumper cars going on there as one of the drivers tries to get himself turned around. It's an unfortunate mess there into turn 1. We didn't want to see that, but what we do want to see is hot action here at the front from Michael. Oh, Paul Busby into the back of Michael Hornby. There's bumpers touching all over the place here at Long Beach, and they're still incredibly close here at the front, aren't they, Trev?
That was definitely bumper cars in that corner, and as I said at the beginning, that's those 2 corners are the ones to watch. But now they're going to be carrying some speed. Don't think we've got anyone in the pits yet, so they're not going to have to worry about just some people trying to get out of that pits. Hopefully, we can get them through in a nice, single stream here. Keeping it nice and tight. This left-hand wall there they've just passed is very much going to catch you out if you go 2 by 2 in there. It's a very tricky line to get through there to the side.
Paul Busby staying on the tail of Michael Hornby at the moment, and Michael Hornby likewise sticking to the back of Baxter Jones, trying to make sure that they make as much of a difference there, hanging on to the toe. Now James Armstrong has made his way all the way up to 10th position now. He's all the way at the back, and then he's dragging along Rob Armstrong behind him. Father and son action here, like chasing him around, giving a bit of a tow, but that won't happen for long, because I think we'll find that James Armstrong will be looking to make some moves here on Stephen Kershaw ahead. We know fully that James Armstrong is an incredibly strong driver, and here he goes on the inside, looking to just stick his nose in. Not brave enough on this occasion though, and just sits back for a second and decides that he's not going to go all for it. All round the outside though, he's having a little look. He's got the pace. He's obviously just looking for his moment, and I think he's very, very close to getting it done. As Rob Armstrong behind him, getting a little bit squiffy at the back end of that Porsche 666 that you can see running behind 47 as they come over the line for another lap here at Long Beach. Now we've got a couple of cars in the pits, Matt Cox being one of them at the moment. I believe we also had another one as well. There was an accident that we'll try and catch in a moment. And there goes James Armstrong down the inside. Here we go, quick replay here of Matt Cox. So let's see what happens to Matt. It looks like he's just got a cap. He's turned around.
Just clip that inside wall. It's a very hard corner. If you think you're going to sort of turn it enough, if you clip that outside wall, it's going to spin across into that wall. The curve can very much unsettle the car if you catch it wrong.
And I'm hearing more and more bangs and bumps. There's Busby hitting the concrete wall there. There's some damage to the front of Busby's Porsche, and he's dropped down into fourth. That means Chris Wally's made his way into the podium positions for this sprint race. Look at Paul's car there in absolute bits, and that's going to give El Neal, another one of our newbies to this racing league this evening. It's going to give El Neal a chance to get round him with the damage that Paul's now got on that Porsche. Look how close El is, and they're getting really bumper to bumper again. A lot of paint being traded here at Long Beach. We said it was going to be rough, and by God, they've proven it already, haven't they? Now Baxter Jones is starting to try and stretch his lead. It looks to me like Hornby though is actually quicker, and he's made it past by the looks of it at the moment. Baxter Jones fighting back for that position. Hornby the faster driver lap by lap at the moment, with his last lap being 2/10 quicker. Baxter Jones manages to maintain the position at front, but that's giving Chris Wally a chance to get up to the back of Michael Hornby, and it looks to me like we're going to get another little replay here of the action. There's Michael Hornby. He does a little switchback there onto the inside line, but he's not brave enough by the looks of it. Or is it more of a fact that Baxter Jones has got about half a car length on him, and he just says, no thank you very much, Mr. Hornby, you can stay behind for now, and that's going to put him ahead for another lap. And it looks like Hornby now under threat from Chris Wally behind. Now Paul Busby is dropping time like anybody's business. You look at the gap between him and Chris Wally now, he must be slowing down the cars behind him, as we see El Neal now moving to the inside, and it looks like he's going to be able to get that move done. Busby moves in on him, cuts in. Oh, and that's both those cars turned around, and we might have had somebody else just caught up in the action there. I think Exelby managed to just slide it through in that incident, and Busby defending a bit too hard there by the looks of it, when El Neil might have just been able to slide it up the inside. I think Paul had maybe nothing to lose there, Trev, and that was a little bit dangerous passing that move, but a shame to see both those guys turn around. But X will be the one that profits from that in 4th position. That puts Denny Wood up to 5th and Carwadine in 6th as we go back to our P2 and P3 battle here with Hornby and Wally.
Yeah, no, that was a bit of a shame. I think that damage was definitely hurting Paul more than the sort of thing that was actually hurting him. Hopefully it won't be too bad, the damage coming out the pits, but we're definitely going to see some blue flag action, I think, under these back runners now. But yeah, these guys out front, they are doing a stellar drive. It is very difficult to follow the car in front so close behind through some of these corners because you just lose the downforce where you need it. And as we've seen, with Paul, all it takes is one clip against that.
I'm going to have to stop you there for a minute, Trev, because it looks like Wally's going for a run here on Hornby. I think we just heard Hornby possibly clip a wall. Yeah, a bit of damage there in the front of Hornby's car, and that's allowed Chris now to make his way up to P2. Fantastically tidy manoeuvre there on the inside. That's just how we would have liked to have seen that El Neil Busby move go down, with Chris Wally now making his way up a position, and that gives him a chance to now go chasing after Baxter Jones, who at the moment is relatively unbothered in P1. Nobody's closing him in too hard. We'll see what Chris can do over the latter portions of this race as we go over to Johnny Aaliyah now, as he's fighting hard here with Craig Schill ahead. So Craig putting up a decent defence here. Johnny running in 20th position and Craig in 19th. So Craig ahead is car number 82. Oh, we perhaps hear a little bit of paint there. I think we've got Hornby having had a crash here. So let's go over to Hornby and see what's happened to him. This looks like coming into turn 1 possibly, Trev. Am I wrong? That's turn 1, doesn't it? And he's cooked it, and then the back end into the tyre barrier there, and then had to go for the toe. Looks like a few of the people nearly hitting that tyre barrier as well, just in the aftermath of that replay.
Yeah, no, it's one of those tyre barriers. It definitely, it'd be brilliant if it wasn't there, give it a bit more room. But if it wasn't there, I definitely think we'd see a lot more carnage of destruction of cars around here.
Well, Michael Hornby, after a fantastic start, making his way up to P2 from P4, unfortunately a couple of dinks into the concrete have set him back, and then consequentially pushing a bit too hard then in the later phases of this race, and that has caused him to be out of here now. So we are now looking at Anthony Franklin. That's car number 11 on your screen. He's running in P12 at the moment, and a little bit of a train behind him, but it doesn't look like he's the one holding them up at the moment. He's actually got a bit of distance between this bunch of guys that are behind him. It's Michael Rowe behind, and then Colin Wynn after. Oh, and Michael Rowe like a missile into the wall there, allowing all of these guys in the train to go around. That was absolutely piercing. You got stuck in the barrier. Let's watch that back again, Trev.
It looks like someone put some magnets in the tyre wall there.
Great, in he goes. That is, very well dug in there, and then obviously having to let everybody go by, and that's a real shame there for another one of our drivers having fallen foul to the incredibly tight circuit that is Long Beach. As we go over to Nick Alexander here, he's another one of the cars that was in that queue that's just managed to slip past that incident. So Johnny Aaliyah behind him now. He was the car that was chasing before, and Johnny really looking quite racy here, looking around the outside here of David Noonan almost. Is he going to be, Nick Alexander, but he's not quite going to be able to do it, is he? It looks like he's got all the speed on the exit, and there might be a bit of damage on that car. And there's Johnny Aaliyah going down the inside, and Craig Schill. It looks like Nick might have just let those guys through on this occasion. They definitely had a lot more speed, didn't they?
Yeah.
So Armstrong and Willoughby and Briggs, I believe, have all had incidents during the time that we've been following some of these other racers this evening. So we're just going to go over to the replay now of Armstrong. Here he is. Bit of damage already on that car, and there he is, spins around again. Oh dear, and then a couple of people that then managed to get involved in that with him. So that's a shame for all of those involved. So that's another kind of pinch point there. As soon as you get a car that's been turned around and gone broadside, you've not got much hope of getting around it. Here we are with Nathan Willoughby. This is the onboard shot as he was following that incident. And he manages to get it stopped. Yeah, he did, absolutely, with James then just managing to tow it back. to the pits to get out of the way. So back with Nick Alexander now. He's quite far behind the likes of Craig Schill, David Noonan and Elia now. So we'll follow David Noonan for a minute, because it actually looks like Noonan is the next driver that's going to be under threat here, with Craig Schill not far behind. We've seen Craig race some incredible races throughout the series of P Cup and other leagues, so let's see what Craig's able to do. He's an incredibly quick driver, but David Noonan was that just picking up a bit of the wall there on the back end, and that's going to cost him a lot of speed, isn't it, Trev?
It is good. Yeah, he's he's lost a bit of speed. Craig's definitely going to be on him. He knows that he's under that pressure. Craig's doing what he needs to do. I think Craig's just biding his time at the moment, just waiting for him to let loose on that car again and just get past him.
We're going over to Kershaw here in the purple and yellow car. He's looking to make a move here up the inside, and is he going to be able to do it? Not quite on this occasion. The car, sorry, he's 25 as Kershaw, sorry, this is Johnny Elia we're watching trying to make the move. I must apologise there. And then Colin Wynn at the front here. Is Colin the one that's holding up this queue a little bit, as we see some people going quite wide there in the background? Craig Schill looking to make a move still, and there looks like Elia now going round the outside, nice and tidy move. Looks like he had more pace in a straight line there, and that is move done. His next target is going to be Colin Wynn up ahead. Great move there from Johnny. That was fantastic to watch. As you see in the background, Craig Schill going up the inside by the looks of it of David Noonan, and that's it, absolutely done. Fantastic work from Schill, who's slipped it up there, absolutely no problems, and Dave stepping out of the way and saying, yep, you can have that one for now, and Craig's next target will be Stephen Kershaw. The damaged Porsche ahead that we've seen obviously just get overtaken by Mr. Elia. Wow, Trev, I mean, some of the moves here, is this reminiscent of what we saw in the GT3s? Oh, hang on a minute, looks like we've got Noonan trying to make the move back again almost. Not quite close enough there, is he though, Trev?
No, not quite close. You really do have to get very close behind them and just, try to kind of force them to make some sort of mistake that just enables you to get that extra little bit of extra gap that you need, it's very tricky. You've got to know whether you can trust the car that you're following through the corner, that if you go side by side, that you're not going to get damage. And it's kind of, you've got to pick your positions, wait for the car ahead to have some sort of small slip up, wrong gear, get a bad exit out the corner and take it there.
And speaking of bad exits, looks like Dave Noonan just a little bit wide there, which has just cost him a bit of time to Craig Schill. He was incredibly close behind him. But Dave Noonan now going to be a threat for Nick Alexander behind. Look how close Nick Alexander is closing him in and chasing him down that main straight. Is he going to look to make a move? I don't think he's really in a position there, is he at all? No, it wasn't close enough. But that was very close to the wall there from Mr. Noonan. He's going to be almost grating the paint off just a little, maybe just almost a hairline scratch, as we watch Colin Wynn now looking up the inside of Nathan Willoughby. He's really chasing hard behind Nathan, but any kind of moves that he pulls that put him a little bit off the pace is going to cost him a lot of time, because behind Colin Wynn there's Johnny Elia, and we know that these guys are going to be fighting hard. And Colin now just moving over to the side here. It looks like he's adjusting the line there just to make sure that Johnny isn't really in a position to maybe follow him in the toe there, but Johnny almost side by side. Look at the pace that Johnny's got in a straight line. He's almost getting ahead of Colin here, and he's going to be fit for a move here on the inside. Is Colin going to give him the room? Yeah, Colin's giving him plenty of room there, but Johnny having to take all the curb. Is that going to cost him some time? Doesn't look like it on this occasion, with Colin managing to stay ahead. But look at Kershaw behind that damaged car, still managed to stay in contention. Maybe just dinks a little bit on the Colin Wynn's rear bumper, but fantastic racing so far from these guys, and great to see Johnny Elia charging through the pack, really making some interesting moves here. Now, this is all for position for the main event, so these obviously, the order these guys finish in will determine where they are in the half-an-hour race, and that's Chris Wally going round. That's our P2 racer, has turned round under pressure from Rob Exelby, and now he's managed to put it the wrong way. Facing the wrong way at Long Beach is not somewhere you want to be, not an easy place to avoid people. Keep an eye on that relative, Chris, because there are going to be a lot of them coming around the corner as we now go over to Johnny Elia again, because this is fighting for position. As we said a minute ago, this sets the order for the next race, and now he's going to be on the tail of Anthony Franklin and car number 11 ahead. We should see Elia get round, I reckon, in no time at all. A couple of corners and we'll definitely see him having made his move. Not quite ready to do it here, but he's spun it, he's put it round, and that's turned Oh,
Oh no,
it's
here we go
Colin
into the
Wynn,
car park.
Kershaw involved as well. And then it looks like Nick Alexander, Dave Noonan, Craig Shaw have all managed to slide through there, which has meant Colin Wynn's had to tow to get himself out of the way. So Colin won't be impressed with that. That's a brilliant performance. Colin was having a great race there, but then unfortunately just getting involved in one of those traffic jams, Trev.
Yeah, it's one of those corners. You get a car park there. It's not really meant to be there at that angle. You can't get through that corner if there's something there, and it's a very much a blind corner. So as you're coming along that straight, you're carrying a lot of speed, and it's one of those corners that it looks slow, but you can carry a fair bit of speed through there. If you don't know that there's a car there blocking it, you know, you're going to have a collision, unfortunately, there. It's definitely one of those corners to watch, but this is definitely been some fantastic racing from the guys. I'm surprised actually with some of the pickups here having so much damage that they're still managing to get round, losing a lot of downforce on the front end, trying to get around that final hairpin. And some of those corners, definitely dragging right into the barriers.
Well, we see Matt Baxter-Jones here coming over the finish line to take the victory in the first heat race. So fantastic work there from Baxter-Jones, a commanding lead from the start really. The only pressure he had at any point was obviously Michael Hornby, who we then saw have that incident later on. So our top order is incredibly shaken up compared to what we're used to, with Baxter-Jones in P1, but Exelby in P2, and Denny Wood coming in P3, with Carwadine in P4, and El Neal, it looks like we're going to have coming over the line in P5 as well. So really shaken up, and the Armstrong in the top 10 is not James on this occasion, but Rob Armstrong makes it into P7 in the heat race. So some really quick guys, obviously, that we normally see at the top of the order are nowhere near today, with the likes of obviously Hornby down now in 20th, Armstrong in 21st, and then even we lost Wally down to 6th after the little incident that he had. So a lot of people, we had one out, that was Colin Wynn out the race, obviously after that incident at the end, so Colin will likely be starting from the very back later on in this main event. So we're going to be over to a warm-up now, so the drivers are going to be able to go out and do a few more laps if they want to. I imagine after the 18 minutes or so of racing they've just done, those 12 laps, they're probably going to want actually a little bit of a break at the moment, aren't they, Trev?
Yeah, you definitely need a bit of a break. It's definitely a killer on the arms around here, and very much the throttle as well. You are constantly on and off the throttle. You're constantly trying to, even some of the corners you can kind of want to get half throttle, around there, and you've got to be very careful when going through the corner if you're on the throttle, because if you haven't got that downforce pushing the car down, you get a little bit too much curb, you will throw yourself into a spin, as we've seen. But no, that was a very fantastic race. I think we're definitely going to see some action in this next race, definitely from Mr. Busby at the back there.
Absolutely, we had a great little result there. That was a fantastic bit of racing from all of the drivers on the circuit. If you want to get involved in any action just like this that you've seen this evening, you can join an iRacing UK League. They're running a number of disciplines at the minute, such as GT3s, the Porsche Cup, obviously Radicals, we've got Formula V, and I believe we've also got TCR as well. So if you're interested in those, the next Radical race for the community is on the 26th of this month. That is Thursday this week at Alton Park. That's going to be without the Britain's chicanes, I believe, just including Hislop. So there'll be an interesting run for the Radicals on that long straight into that hairpin. Following on with, we've also got the Interlagos race as well, I believe. So that's going to be the GT3s next week, Trev, isn't it? Are you going to be involved in that one?
Yep, yeah, I'm going to be racing in that. It's not one of my best tracks, I have to say, unfortunately. I didn't do too well around there last season. But no, definitely a bit more experience under my belt around that track this year, and a bit more better setup actually on the car. So I'll be spending the next week practicing hard on that one.
Yeah, some interesting names around the circuit there. The old Bico de Pato and some other great turns that we saw. We saw a great race from the Formula 3 League there in Season 1. The guys really giving it some. And I think also the last round of the GT3s was great. We had some interesting incidents round Interlagos with people coming out the pit lane, fighting for position on the undercuts, and then getting involved in incidents into Decina de Largo and at the end of that pit lane. So speaking of the F3s, also that we just mentioned a minute ago, they'll be at the Red Bull Ring on August the 24th. So that's not this Tuesday coming, but the following one. So come and watch them go around the Styrian hillside circuit that is the Red Bull Ring. Some great action to be seen there. I don't know if you've ever watched the MotoGP as well as the Formula One. There's some fantastic stuff there in all the races that we've had in the last couple of years. Even when we've had obviously double headers in real life, where we've got to witness all of that action. So the final race for the P Cup will actually be in Bathurst on the 29th. So we're not long now until the end, and we'll be coming to a long-awaited conclusion after many weeks of racing for all of these P Cup drivers who have put their back into it every week in, week out, even when we've had format changes as well. So if you want to get involved in this and you want to join the Discord community, head over to www.facebook.com/iRacing UK. If you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can find us over there at IRUK_team. Tune for updates on all of the action that we'll be having here in the iRacing UK leagues. Now, we've seen a few incidents this evening throughout Long Beach. It's worth mentioning that we do actually have protest forms within the league, so that people can, if they feel they've been a little bit hard done by, their race has been wrecked maybe by some behaviour that they didn't imagine was quite correct, they can submit a protest. And we do actually give out some incident points. So penalty points can be given out for minor incidents, unsafe rejoins, or unsafe rejoins resulting in contact, maybe even retaliation. So far tonight, I think we've been very lucky, and all of the incidents that we've seen have really been down to driver error, putting it in the wall, and then people being too committed to pull out of avoiding other incidents like cars facing the wrong way on the circuit. It's been a very clean race for the most part, but the action that we have seen has been absolutely brilliant.
So I can agree with that, and it's one of those tracks. The problem is, if you give up the position, you slow down, you give up that position, you're gonna have to fight very hard to get it back. And there's always a chance of being in an incident yourself.
Absolutely. So these guys now on their warm-up, it looks like, oh, there we go, we're just over the warm-up time, so we'll have the grid for you here. So in P1, Mark Baxter-Jones, he's followed by Rob Exelby. Denny Wood comes up in third with Oliver Carwaldine on the second row, and then we've got El Neal and Chris Wally on the third row, followed by Rob Armstrong, Mark Johnson, Nathan Willoughby, and Anthony Franklin for your top 10. Craig Schill and Dave Noonan in P11 and 12, and then following them we've got Nick Alexander, Stephen Kershaw, Johnny Illia, Colin Wynn, Stuart Brown, James Armstrong, Vance Briggs, Michael Rowe, Michael Hornby, Paul Busby, and Matt Cox. Some quick guys at the back of the grid in the likes of Busby and Hornby, both of whom were fast but weren't consistent enough to keep it in a straight line around this Long Beach circuit, with them hitting the wall, unfortunately, both of them in the initial heat race. Let's see if they can have a bit of redemption. Can they put a James Armstrong back to front? We'll find out now as we get the lights now on screen, ready for this next part of the Porsche Cup, the main heat race, the main event tonight, and we are away with Baxter-Jones getting a great start. Oh, we've got a car off the line that's managed to hit the wall. That's going to cause chaos at the start, but there goes Exelby. He's got a great start. He's going to challenge Baxter-Jones into the first portion of this race. Exelby goes side by side with Baxter-Jones. He's going to be on the outside line here as they go into turn one, with Baxter-Jones now just edging it ahead. And look at that on the inside. We've got other people trying to stick their nose in. It looks like we've dropped a load of people dropped into the pit, with Dave Noonan, Nick Alexander, Colin Wynn and James Armstrong all having jumped into the pits after that poor start that we saw. And let's keep an eye here on the front battle, because it looks like Exelby is sticking to the back of Baxter-Jones for the moment, and he's managed to hold it together. For some reason, Nathan Willoughby was showing at the start in P1 for a moment there, but on my SDK, but it looks like he's back down on the order. Maybe he was one of the people that was involved. And Exelby's managed to spin it round there. Oh, but I thought he was going to recover it. He needs to get on the brakes and get out of the way, because there's going to be a load more Porsches coming around that corner. That was a little bit skatey there. Not sure we wanted to see that, with Oliver Carwaldine now promoted into P2. That's a brilliant result for Oliver Carwaldine, but it looks like he's going to be under threat from Chris Wally pretty soon, who's been making his way back up the order. Baxter-Jones darts off into the distance. He's going to be relatively unchallenged. Let's go back and have a little look at that start now, Trev.
Yeah, so that was quite a horrific start there, wasn't it, for some of the drivers?
Was it It was 2 and 6, I think, that had the poor
Yeah, I believe
start
it was
possibly. So let's
2-6.
have a little
Yeah,
look. That
it
was
looked
El Neil that had that poor start. Just seemed to veer off to the left. Let's see if we can see that now, shall we? There we go. Slow motion off the start, and then all of a sudden peels off to the left, and
oh
there's absolutely no control there from El Neil. So
no,
a terrible start, and it looks like Rob Armstrong moves over. Can't just about moves to the left then and
flips.
avoids it. And then we have a load of other drivers like Kershaw and others behind who then get involved in the chaos in the middle. There's Colin Wynn getting bumped from behind in car number 4, and James Armstrong stuck in the middle of it all as well.
Starting to look very reminiscent of the M25 on a Friday night.
The M4 for me, and there's Busby. Yeah, Busby, who started from the back, who probably should have been able to make, take advantage of that situation. Instead, getting a dent in the front of his car, which is going to cost him time, not allowing him to make up the kind of positions that we were hoping he might have done. But there he is in the background. Let's see what he can do with the damage that he's got there as we go with Michael Hornby now. So Paul Busby has made his way up to 9th from pretty much the back of the grid. Let's see what he can do, because there's Hornby now going around the inside of Franklin, and Paul Busby's going to try and sneak it around there as well. Yeah, he has, with Franklin losing a bit of speed there. He's just taken advantage of it. So, looks like we just had a bit of smoke cloud puff up there. I'm not sure what that was. Was that Chris Wally that's just had a bit of an incident by the looks of it? He's dropped down the order, hasn't he? And now he's under threat from Michael Hornby. So two very evenly matched drivers here. Hornby looking to go round the outside possibly. That's going to set him up to be on the inside for turn 1 here. And Michael Hornby, late on the brakes, can he make it happen? He does. He leaves a bit of room there, but it's incredibly tight with Wally, and there's a bad exit from Hornby, and that's going to allow Paul Busby to go through as Hornby just lets off the throttle there to let Busby by, who was absolutely flying there. He was fully committed to taking advantage of the fact that Hornby had just had to slow down there a little bit with that battle with Chris Wally.
If Mike didn't slow down, he definitely would have ended up into that wall.
There's Exelby, a bit slow there at the moment. I think we've already obviously seen one incident from Exelby. Maybe there's a bit of damage, but he's under threat from Franklin here. Let's see what Franklin's able to do in this situation, because Exelby, who had been obviously challenging on the podium, I've just heard a big bit of maybe a metal on metal sound. I wonder who's just hit a wall, but Exelby now looking like he's going to possibly just pull away from Franklin here. He's just pulled that gap out a little bit and not looking as under threat as he was. Perhaps just a little bit of a slow moment earlier in the lap, which allowed Franklin to get up to the back of him. So Baxter Jones is still your leader at the moment, with Carwadine in P2. Chris Wally, I believe, was the one that was chasing. Oh, there goes Busby in the background. There goes Busby, a cloud of smoke for car 420. Let's see that again on the replay here. Sean's going to cue that up for us. He's chasing hard behind Chris Wally. And there we go into the hairpin, Trevor. Is he just giving it too much?
Yeah, a bit too much throttle out of the hairpin. If you're not fully straightened up and you can just get a little bit too much throttle, as I said, it's just one of those things. You can very easily spin it, and with the damage to the front of that car, it's definitely going to be missing some downforce. It's going to be very crucial for some of the corners.
Rob Armstrong's made his way up to 5th in the order, so we've still got a strong Armstrong in the order in the top 10, with James obviously having dropped right down. James is, I believe, may still be in the pits actually. I don't think he's lapping at all at the moment, is he? But
no, I think James is out now.
He's out of the race now, James Armstrong is. So we've also got Nathan Willoughby out and Kershaw as well. So 3 drivers who lost. We've got 3 still in the pits. Colin Wynn has gone back out. He's in P17, a lap down on everybody at the moment. But you never know what can happen in this 30-minute race, of which we've already had 5 minutes so far. So your current battle on screen is Rob Armstrong. He's under threat from Chris Wally, who we did see earlier trying to battle with Carwadine for P2. He obviously lost it, meaning that he's been having to put in a bit of elbow grease and try and do a bit of the work to get himself back into a competitive position. But Rob Armstrong's not making it easy here, and it doesn't really look to me like Chris is in a position. But is he going to go for it now? Down the inside on turn 1, Chris Wally just slides it in there, car number 2. Rob gives him plenty of room, and that's going to allow Michael Hornby to potentially have a little look as well. Michael's just let off a bit there, and he's just going to bide his time. Plenty of laps left within this race. We're only 5 in so far out of a potential 22, and Michael Hornby will be thinking to himself, I've got plenty of time to make this move happen.
Exactly, yeah, just sit there, wait for the guys ahead. It's very much the long game.
Here's Paul Busby on Vance Briggs. He tucks it up the inside. That damage on the car obviously not making too much of a difference. But then Vance Briggs also, I believe, loses a position to Stuart Brown there at the same time. I believe that was. Oh no, I think it was Matt Cox behind him. Was it still? It was Busby and Brown that both got past Briggs in that manoeuvre. Here's Armstrong again.
No speed.
No, not at all there. No. And Armstrong here doing a fantastic job of his Rob here just to defend from Michael Hornby, who we know has been incredibly competitive throughout this. And there he goes. Michael Hornby's found a better line, hasn't he? Yeah, he's found the way through. Armstrong a little bit slower out of the hairpin, but Hornby having to tuck in behind him again. There'll be an opportunity here as he looks to move around Armstrong. He's going to go to the left and go for that inside manoeuvre that we've seen so many people pull into turn one. A great overtaking manoeuvre here. Armstrong gives plenty of space and Hornby down the inside, and here comes Exelby. That seems to be a classic position for on the track where you can lose two at a time though, with Exelby now looking down the inside. Oh, Rob Armstrong there struggling to get it through the windy section in the first sector of Long Beach, and Exelby now just having to do the same thing as Hornby by this time. Keep an eye on what happens ahead of him.
Yeah, he nearly got caught out by that wall. And it's very difficult if you end up trying to go 2x2 through that corner. But no, it's instead of driving from Rob Armstrong there. He good defending.
We're going to go over to a replay of Stuart Brown here. A bit of an incident from Stuart Brown. Let's see what he has got through turn one, okay, and then into the fountain area, and then he spun it on the exit of the fountain. So the first sector of the circuit proving to be a bit lethal for some people. He's just reversed it. Oh, and he's just got in someone's way there by the looks of it as he's reversed to try and get it right. And I think that was Schill that he might have just got in front of there. As we go back over to Armstrong and Exelby here, both the Robs. And Matt Cox here actually. Let's have a little look at Matt Cox. He's behind Vance Briggs in car number 710. He's been following Vance for a little while. Vance lost a couple of positions earlier on, but Matt Cox looking like the tidier driver of the two here as he chases hard behind 33. He's going to have all the slipstream here, but it doesn't look like he's quite close enough for a manoeuvre into turn one, as we've seen with some of these other guys. So here he is having a little look on the left, but that's not going to be good enough on this occasion. Maybe that damage on the front of Matt Cox's car possibly just giving him a bit of a speed disadvantage, possibly an aerodynamic disadvantage. We'll go back and have a little look at it.
Definitely seems to be struggling a little bit on the front tyres there, coming off the curbs around that fountain. I think sometimes it's also whether you've got the mental, knowledge that you're going to be safe going through the corner at that speed, and sometimes it's a bit hard, very easy to get scared and back out of it.
Just having another look here at the start again. Here's the chaos that we had at the start there. So Nathan Willoughby are in the chat asking to see the start again, and a lot of comments there. Obviously, just noting the utter chaos that we had there with Matt Cox being one of the cars involved who we were watching earlier. Here we are back over with Matt now as he's still putting the pressure onto Vance Briggs at the moment. So let's see what he can do here. Oh, he's looking around the outside of Vance there. He's just had to slow down into that hairpin. Now, we believe that Chris Wally may have had an incident as well. He was obviously challenging some of our other drivers, making his way back up to the front. We'll perhaps have another look at that in a minute. But I can see Exelby and Wally then dropping down the order then, I think. There might have been an incident. We're going to go possibly and have a look at that. Oh, is that it ahead? Yeah, we have. We've got Chris Wally there managing to spin it. And then who else gets involved? Hornby manages to avoid the entire thing. And there's Exelby then sliding down the inside as well. So it looks like Exelby must have managed to get around Armstrong as well during that period of time. And then Exelby getting turned around by Hornby on the hairpin as Hornby obviously just managed trying to make that right-hander happen. Exelby tried to tuck it in, didn't he? Tried to go round the outside because he had the pace, but then that's caused Armstrong to have to slow down as well. And then Exelby now lost that place that he's just gained from Armstrong a moment ago. Plenty of action here at the moment. Rock Big Dave says car park. Fasters FK boy says 50 quid penalty. I'm not sure who that's for. And then Nathan Willoughby says don't worry El, it happens. So an unfortunate incident. People do make those kind of, we've got an incident at the back there. Let's see if we can go back over to that in a minute. There's Vance Briggs we're just seeing around the hairpin. Sean's going to be able to bring us back a quick shot of hopefully what we might have just missed. Look at the front of Exelby's car now. It looks like absolute carnage. Front bumper nearly hanging off and in a bit of a state. That's not a pretty Porsche right now as we have a look at Vance Briggs, who is up about 11 places, I believe, Vance. Here we go. We're with Rob Armstrong and Oliver Carwadine here. So let's just see what happened. It looks like Rob Armstrong was obviously one of the cars that got caught up in that incident earlier. Here's Anthony Franklin, though, because I think this was the one in the background that we might have seen in the distance. So what does he do here? Does he just get it a bit too squiffy? No, he's got it around the hairpin okay. Let's just follow Ant Franklin for a moment. We'll go back over to Vance Briggs because he's up 10 places at the moment. And we're going to have a look at Vance Briggs because he's behind Rob Exelby, who's got a bit of damage. So what I'm wondering at the moment is, has Vance Briggs got the pace to catch up with Rob? I think Rob has probably... Yeah, me too. I think Rob, obviously, having had a couple of incidents, he was fighting hard. The pressure's got to him, and now a little bit slower through the laps than he was earlier on. Briggs at the moment doing a 1:23.9, but it looks like Exelby a 1:30.27 on the last lap, so he's lost an absolute job lot of time. I'm hearing a bit of metal work hitting concrete barrier there on my headphones, so I think that might have been we've got Alexander in the pits at the moment, so it might be that we've had a bit of an incident further down the grid, maybe.
Yeah, it looks like there was a car in the background there, just sort of clipping the wall on the outside of the hairpin there. But
oh, we've got a pass there. That's Matt Cox getting himself up the order. He's got past Elia and Exelby by the looks of it. Both those guys.
Move there.
Yeah, it was. Let's go back and have a look at that now. He's going to take the inside line. Oh, sorry, the outside line round turn one here. Elia, very careful there, and yeah, Matt Cox, no dramas at all, just slides it round, and that actually gave Exelby a little bit of a chance to have a look at the back of Elia there. Both cars with damage. I wonder if we'll see a bit of action between those ones. Exelby's passed him in the time that we've been watching that replay, Trev. He's managed to slide it by.
Yeah, I think we'll see Vance get past next as well.
Wow, Rob Exelby, look at that. Another move up the inside there. Looks like Elia probably just struggling for speed there a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, I think he's starting to struggle with the car now. It definitely looks like he's been pushing the tyres quite hard at times. They do get very hot around here, especially with a track temperature of 29 degrees.
Here's Stuart Brown now. He's looking to make a move on Michael Rowe. These guys also being followed very closely by Colin Wynn by the looks of it as well here in the mix. But Colin Wynn is a lapped car, so Colin will be looking to get himself back around, I believe. He might have to see if one of these guys is going to be nice to him. Yeah, we're going to go and have a look at Anthony Franklin now. He's being chased hard by Matt Cox, who we've seen obviously charging up the order. Matt Cox much quicker around here at the moment. It looks like, let's have a little look here at the lap times. Last lap time for Matt Cox, 1:21.8 and a 1:22.5 for Anthony Franklin. So here he goes up the inside into turn one, but not quite this time. Close but no cigar. He's had to let off and then see if he can take him on the inside. A much wider exit there from Anthony Franklin. Oh, and Cox right into the wall there. Really
gets that wall, yeah.
Scraping the concrete, wasn't he, there? And that's given Exelby a chance to have a little look. Look at Exelby speeding along behind Cox.
I definitely think they're going to be fighting for the position until one of them loses this position here.
Oh, Cox really riding the curbs there. Lots of squirming around at the back of that Porsche. 1:21.8 in the last lap for Matt Cox. He's obviously having to fight hard. Oh, and there's been some contact. We've got contact there between Rob. No, that was Anthony Franklin. Sorry, on the outside. But Matt Cox managed to slide it round. He's used him as a barrier there, a little bit of a bumper, and that's going to allow Exelby through as well. So some more damage for Cox after already a couple of dents on that Porsche, but that's allowed Matt Cox now to push his way up to 5th position. So he's going to be chased. Oh, is that Anthony Franklin then behind hitting the wall there? I think that could be a retirement that we see. Maybe he's struggling there with the turning. But look how close Exelby's managed to get to the back of Cox in the space of just a couple of corners. Exelby really sticking his nose in there and saying, hello, you're my next victim.
I think we have to mention someone that's definitely far away from being a victim is Mark Baxter Jones out up front with a nearly 12-second lead.
Baxter Jones has been absolutely uninterrupted, and a surprise P2 at the moment is Mark Johnson, Mark, who is not normally one of our fast front runners within these races, is currently in P2. So interested to see how long he'll be able to hold on to that. Michael Hornby is currently in P3, and I'm sure we'll see him trying to close up that gap and trying to make the move. Exelby now getting pretty close up behind Matt Cox, and Matt looking a little bit untidy there, but Exelby opens up the corner a little bit more, and can he get the speed up here? He's looking at the inside, really wide entry into that corner. Matt Cox really defending hard. Bit of a touch there on the bumpers. Looks like Matt Cox he just slowed down, didn't he? A bit too much on the inside, and Exelby had all the pace in the world. Little love tap, and he's made his way around. So that's Exelby now into P5. We are only halfway through this race, bear in mind, and the amount of incident points that these guys must be tallying up is going to be growing. So Matt Cox now having to sit back behind Exelby, and the question is, will Exelby be able to do anything else within this race? Will he be able to catch up to the back of Armstrong ahead of him? Let's see. And well, actually, we want to probably keep our eyes on this, because Matt Cox now really racy with Exelby putting that car almost sideways, drifting round the corners of Long Beach, and that's going to give Matt Cox the inside line, but he's not brave enough to get it done this time. Exelby having to go much wider, but that means that Matt Cox, we could see indeed here, Trev. Let's we'll go over also to have a look at Mark Johnson, the Bombardier livery there. He has been in P2 for a little while now, and Michael Hornby following very closely behind him, nose to tail those guys are. And then just in the background there you saw Mr. Armstrong, Rob Armstrong, who is currently running in P4. He was just coming around the hairpin.
Mr. Hornby definitely wants this P2, doesn't he?
He does. He's lining up the move here, isn't he? He's going to go for the inside. I don't think he's quite got the gap down as much as he'd like to there, and playing it nice and steady, because who wants to wreck it with 12 minutes still on the clock? 14 laps down so far out of a potential 22 in this race here at Long Beach, and it has been an action-packed one with interesting starts, to say the least. Car parks on a couple of the corners already, and a lot of our faster drivers nowhere to be seen at the front of the order, other than the likes of obviously Baxter Jones and Hornby obviously here in P3. The likes of Busby now down in P18, Colin Wynn, Chris Wally 14th and 15th. So it's a real mixed up order tonight, Trev. Not something that I was expecting personally.
No, me neither. Like I said, we've got some fantastic runners out the front, and it's been some good racing. Obviously, we've had a few incidents, and you're going to get that around Long Beach. It's a very technical, difficult track to get around, and unlike most tracks where you've got a nice bit of runoff and possibly survive an incident, here you're going to hit the walls, and the walls do tend to like the cars. There's definitely a couple of tricky corners around here, and it's very hard to follow a car through a corner and not know if they're going to brake. So yeah, we've got some fantastic runners in here. I guarantee the drivers are going to definitely be feeling it after this race, though, especially on this quite warm night.
Hornby had a little look at the inside there, wasn't quite brave enough again to do it there. Mark Johnson managing to hold on to P2 by the skin of his teeth, a little bit wobbly there at the back of that Porsche. Oh, and he's going to look down the inside. Oh, that was very, very close between those guys. A bit of damage on both those cars. Michael Hornby is getting to the point now where he looks like he's getting a bit impatient, putting the pressure on Mr. Johnson ahead, but maybe just being a little bit kind here, understanding that maybe this is not somebody that he's used to racing against. So Hornby not being too brutish in this situation. He's got a bit of a gap behind him to Armstrong, so he won't be too worried about him. But Baxter Jones ahead of 13 seconds ahead now. He really isn't going to be seeing these guys unless we have a critical incident from Baxter Jones. I think he's very much got this in the bag. Baxter Jones, I think, has actually just got past P12, just lapped P12, so that shows you the kind of pace that he's got here. With Michael Hornby having a look at the inside there of Mark Johnson, and that's put him up to P2, but Johnson, the fight isn't over yet. If he can maintain this drag race here down into turn one, he's got the left-hand side, but it looks like he's about a car length behind now, just dropping back from Hornby. Is he going to be brave on the brakes? No, he's not. He's going to tuck in behind here, and Hornby should be nice and clear here. Yes, he absolutely is. P2, slick a stamp and send it. That is done for Hornby. All he's got to do now is keep it on the tarmac for the rest of the race.
Yeah, he certainly picked the perfect position to pull that manoeuvre there. It's one of those things, he put the pressure on, he kept the pressure on, but he didn't overdrive it, and that's where you can really get taken out. by your own car here if you are attempting to put that pressure on and you overdrive. All it takes is for one incident in one corner and you've probably lost 3 or 4 positions, and we've seen it many times today.
Absolutely, we have. You get stuck in a position where you're then having to just watch everybody drive past you if you have an incident here. And speaking of incidents and bumping and banging, here's Matt Cox and Rob Exelby, a couple of pretty poor-looking Porsches there. A lot of dents of paintwork and bodywork there, and they're still fighting hard, looking like, Exelby picking up a bit of wall there again. These guys are both struggling by the looks of it to keep these cars going quickly around the track. Baxter Jones now just coming past the back marker. Let's just see what he's done there. He's got past car number 80 there on the track. So that was, just have a little look down my order.
Oliver Codwine.
Carwadine, was it? That was Oliver Carwadine. Excellent stuff then from Oliver, letting the leader through there. And Matt Cox there, still not quite able to catch up to Exelby with 7 tenths in it at the moment. Exelby's got a great line out of that last corner. He's got it absolutely sorted, meaning that there's not really much pressure from Cox in that situation.
No, he's definitely got the exit he needs to keep off.
It means that Cox picking up a lot of curve there. That's not going to help his fight, is it? Yeah, not at all.
I think much more curve there, he would have probably hit that wall and taken himself out of the race. So I think if he calms himself down a little bit more, he might be able to gain his position in the next couple of laps.
Well, with 7 minutes to go, does the fatigue start to kick in at this point?
It definitely be fatigue starting to set in with the drivers. Something with them. You get impatient of following that car in front as well. You want to get past the car. You don't want to be stuck behind another car. You want a nice bit of free air so you don't feel pressured. It's hard to find space on a track like this with it being such a short lap.
We've got a replay of Craig Schill here, spinning that. Not quite spinning it. He's just managed to hit the anchors and then keep it in a straight line on the track. That fantastic livery with the Love Heart, the tribute to the Marshal, who very unfortunately passed away at Brands Hatch a few weeks ago. The livery on the Craig Schill's car. We'll go back over to that maybe a bit later. But here's Michael Hornby charging ahead in car 56. Now he's got past Mark Johnson. He's really starting to grow that gap, and he can pick up a bit of pace. And he's going to start to come up to some of the back markers, I imagine, now in the coming laps. With less than 7 minutes to go, they're on lap 18 out of 22. We should see about another 4 from these guys, and there he goes round Craig Schill there, and Craig getting out of the way for the other front runners of Mark Johnson, who is looking to pick up a podium position at the minute. Is Mark Johnson with the performance that he's put in this evening. Baxter Jones, though, still 12 seconds ahead at the moment. Doesn't look like that interval's coming down too much from him to Michael Hornby, so we'll keep an eye on that. But I don't imagine we're going to see much of a challenge in the final portion of the race, are we? No,
I think he's definitely taken the podium here and the pole position and the win. And it's been a stellar drive from start to finish so far for him. I think the only thing that might come proper against him now is possibly some back markers.
Well, I mean, hopefully we haven't given it the commentator's curse. I know that Tim and I and Chris and I have previously managed to summon some kind of bad voodoo for the leader, so we'll keep an eye on Baxter Jones and see how he fares in the last few laps. Now, just down the order at the moment, we've got Hornby in second, Johnson in third. Armstrong still putting up a reasonable defence in fourth. He's not got much trouble at the minute with Exelby a fair bit behind him, in 4 seconds behind. And then Cox now has dropped back from Exelby a little bit as well. So not really going to be seeing quite the fight through the middle portion for the middle pack that we were earlier on today. Further down, we've got Vance Briggs, Stuart Brown, Michael Rowe. Again, these guys starting to get a bit spread out now across the field. Then Johnny Aaliyah and Oliver Carwadine. So that's your top 10 at the moment. Craig Schill currently in the pit lane. So Craig's had to go into the pits. It looks like El Neal also in the pits. I think what El probably has been for the entire race after that incident off the start. So looking at Craig Schill, I'm not sure what caused him to come in. I know he'd had that spin earlier, but I didn't see any car destroying damage on there, unless he had another incident at some point as well, possibly. So perhaps we'll have a look at that later on. But just under 5 minutes now of racing left to go here. Actually 2 laps left on the board, so I don't know if we'll make it all the way to that full half an hour. Let's see how we go with Baxter Jones. Obviously will be the first car to enter the final lap in a short while. Hornby not even close to closing that gap. It's still at 12 seconds. I don't think we were really expecting to see any miracles there from Hornby in this situation. He's had to come from quite far back on the grid. I believe 19 places he's actually picked up.
He's done very well.
Yeah, he has, absolutely. With Mark Johnson's picked up 5 as well. So Mark with the better start, obviously taking advantage of the fact that a number of our faster guys have had to start right from the back of the order. Now, speaking of those faster guys, James Armstrong didn't get our lap 1. We also had Paul Busby as well, who looks like Paul only completed a few laps as well. So Paul having a bit of a rough evening in the Porsche Cup. So some great driving though from the likes of Exelby and Cox. That battle that we managed to witness for a few laps was absolutely fantastic. Cox had a real charge up the order tonight and put himself
17 places.
Yeah, he did, but then unfortunately it just all kind of it looks like the damage that he's picked up over the course of the laps throughout the race has just meant that he's not been able to challenge now later on, with Exelby absolutely charging off into the distance, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I think, you know, depending on the damage, you might see Vance start to make a move against him.
Well, with only a short period of time now, I don't think we'll see. Unless Vance has got some miracles or Matt Cox has another incident, I think we're not likely to see a move of that kind of magnitude, really. So car number 33, we'll go over him now. We're just seeing him come through the hairpin here. So let's have a little look at Vance as he comes around. He's up, I think, 12 positions at the moment as Vance, according to the overlay there. So that's a great performance from Vance, and something that he
Brown had a bit of an incident coming out the hairpin there.
Did it? I didn't see what Mr. Brown was up to, and maybe if he did, we'll get a replay of that in a moment. But we'll stay with Vance just for a minute as we follow him around one of his penultimate laps here at the circuit, the Long Beach circuit. A nice and tidy car, actually. Vance must be one of the few people that doesn't have a dent in that Porsche. There is a fast repair, I believe, on this as well, actually.
I was thinking we were looking at a showroom condition car here.
Well, I mean, to be in the top 10, he must have taken advantage of some of the. He hasn't actually had a pit stop. Looking at the SDK board, I didn't think I was. It was the last race that he crashed. I didn't think I was telling porcupines, but that is actually a pristine Porsche. He hasn't had any quick repair. He's had no pit stop, and look at him. He's in P7 there. As usual, we could well have, again we hope we haven't cursed Baxter Jones yet, so I imagine we won't curse Briggs. Now Baxter Jones on the last lap now, where it's the white flag lap here at the Long Beach circuit. Great bit of racing this evening. He's now got about a 12-second lead, Baxter Jones, from the rest of the pack. Michael Hornby did manage to just close it in, but not even remotely enough, as we now watch on board here with Baxter Jones, the view of the driver on the last lap here. Nice, cool, calm and collected from Baxter Jones. He's not put a foot wrong at all, completely unfazed here. He barely even turns his head to look at where he's driving. Kind of break. Barely even moving his feet on the pedals. That's how relaxed Baxter Jones is. That's how easy it is for him as we watch him on board. Yeah, rock steady. With concrete rock walls on either side, he comes over the line, flashing the lights for round 6. There's Baxter Jones. A fantastic couple of victories from Baxter Jones this evening. And here comes Hornby over the line as well. So Michael Hornby picks up P2. Fantastic work from him after a not so good start in the first race. He's come right from the back of the order and made his way up. Yeah, 19 places. Mark Johnson, take a bow. 3rd position for Mark Johnson after being in P2 for a very long period of time. And Rob Armstrong weaves left and right with a P4 finish. Not the Armstrong you're looking for normally, but there he is in P4. Great work from Rob. And then the next Rob over the line is Exelby, followed by Matt Cox in 6th position. So those guys who were scrapping earlier, great to see them finishing in the top 10. And Vance Briggs and Stuart Brown should be coming over the line very shortly there in car 3. There he is, Stuart Brown, coming over the line. Well, that has been absolutely spectacular. James Armstrong in last position, so we've got Rob in fourth. What a difference! We've seen a switch of the Armstrongs with a strong performance coming from Rob this evening, as we just watched Michael Rowe there in P9 coming around the final lap. He's come over the line now. Fantastic work from Michael Rowe in the top 10. Again, not one that we necessarily see at that end of the order. And then Johnny Aaliyah in 10th, and Carl Wadeen 11th, and Craig Shull in 12th. So fantastic results, great driving, and a lot of damage across the vehicles.
You have to wonder whether some of the spins and incidents we've seen in the corners is due to active turns. The best way to describe this is the turn where the corner changes throughout the race due to the heat and the rubber and the combination of two. And we hear about it all the time about track evolution, and you can go through the race, go through a corner at the start of the race and go through at the end, and it will feel completely different.
Absolutely, and a lot of our drivers doing very well to deal with those active turns this evening. Now, here is your order for the evening for the feature race. That's Mark Baxter-Jones in P1 and absolutely unbothered this evening. And then Michael Hornby in P2, followed by Mark Johnson. Fantastic race from him in P3. And then Rob Armstrong, Rob Exelby, Matt Cox, Vance Briggs, Stuart Brown, Michael Rowe, and Johnny Aaliyah round out your top 10. Then we've got Oliver Carwadine, Craig Shull, Anthony Franklin, Dave Noonan, Colin Wynn, Chris Wally, Denny Wood, Nick Alexander, Paul Busby, Stephen Kershaw, and then we've got El Neal there in P21. So a lot of drivers out of the race this evening. We saw obviously a lot of them there down the order that are many laps down. So great racing, a lot of action. We'll just bring up the championship standings for you here now. This is without a drop week for these races. So Mark Baxter-Jones currently in the lead with 699, just shy of that 700 point marker. Dan Batty's in P2 with Gavin Halls in P3, followed by Carwadine and Chris Wally. So Gavin Halls, who you didn't see this evening, normally an incredibly strong driver. Also Dan Batty, another one you didn't see this evening. So in the following round, hopefully we'll see both those guys fighting up the order. So we've also got some more notable names there with Michael Hornby in P6, Johnny Aaliyah in 7th, 8th is James Armstrong, even after some of those troubling performances, and then Denny Wood in 9th with Stephen Kershaw in 10th. Colin Wynn in 11th, followed by Stuart Brown, Matt Cox, Vance Briggs, Kane Crawford, Rob Armstrong, Mark Johnson, Rob Exelby, Anthony Franklin, Stephen Masters, and then Adam Holloway down there in P21. So if you enjoyed that and you want to get signed up to a league yourself, head over to www.facebook.com/iRacing UK and you can get involved in the action. Join the Discord, join a league, and we'll see you here hopefully on one of the broadcasts in the future. You can get us at IRUK_team on Twitter and Instagram. And we hope to see you for the next races that are upcoming, which include Interlagos on August the 22nd. That's the GT3 League next Sunday at this time. The Formula 3 will be at the Red Bull Ring on August the 24th. That's a Tuesday. And this week coming up, we've got the Alton Park Radicals race, which is going to be spectacular. They always are very racy, those Radicals. Unfortunately, not broadcast, but if you want to get involved, come and have a look at what we're up to. You won't regret it. A big thank you to obviously all of our drivers this evening and all of you viewing on Twitch and YouTube. Give us a like, a subscribe, and a thumbs up, whatever it is that you do on the relevant platform. Please give it to us, and we very much appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here this evening on the channel, and a big thank you also to you, Trev, for being involved with us this evening, and cameraman Sean behind the scenes. From all us here at iRacing UK, it's good evening and enjoy the rest of your Sunday night.